What is up, beautiful people? It's Wolfbrother Mythos, and this is Wolfbrother Hobbies. Welcome to tonight's show. And yeah, the Dark Light Dreamer, good evening, my brother. How you doing tonight? I hope you're all doing well tonight. And first of all, I've reconfigured the camera for tonight because it is a solo stream, so please let me know if you can see me, hear me, everything is good. It looks like it's good on the screen. Looks like my audio is rising and falling appropriately, so just let me know how it looks, how it sounds, guys. How was your week, everyone? Settle in. And I have had an okay week. It was a pretty chill week, trying to recover from the holiday. Looking great. That's good to hear, brother. That is good to hear. Man, I was hoping to get over your way tomorrow because, man, to be honest, last week, Dark Light Dreamer and I got together. We had a little bit of a Thanksgiving meal together, and we watched some anime with that Jujutsu Kaisen, which was a lot of fun. And I was hoping to get back to watching some more this weekend, but unfortunately, the scheduled, with other factors going on, didn't line up correctly, but hopefully sometime soon, because that's been a great series so far. And I'm enjoying watching it with my brother, so it's very cool, very cool. Plus, it's a great way to wake up in the morning, hang out with a bro, have some coffee together, watch some anime. It's a good way to kick off a Saturday. Looking forward to next time. Me too, brother, me too. But how has everyone's week been? Has anyone gotten to do anything fun this week? Man, it was tough after a holiday week, and I took off an extra couple of days, which, no complaints because, I'm lucky to be able to say that. But I took off an extra couple of days for the holiday weekend. And so going back Monday was tough. It was tough. You can see there in the chat, Nightbot starting us off strong, of course. Wolfbrother Hobbies is sponsored by Paint Minis Live, a wonderful, incredible YouTube channel that is making a comeback. And of course, um, a proud owner of a web store that supports other content creators. And you can find all kinds of cool stuff at their web store. You can find D&D supplements. You can find some D&D miniatures, different role play modules. But my favorite thing at their store is they carry Monument Hobbies products, and Pro-Acryl paints from Monument Hobbies is my favorite brand of paints. So do check them out. And of course, if you use the link to check out Paint Minis Live, it'll let them know that your Wolf Brother referred you, and you'll be supporting with for no additional cost. The website was recently down for a server transfer, but it is back up and running. Darklight Dreamer's been working on VR backlog. I mentioned Ghost Town was one of my favorite VR experiences of all time. Wow, that's high praise, of all time. Played a mystery puzzle adventure called Seventh Quest and started a fun VR game. Very cool. That's awesome. I haven't really had a chance to play too many games. I do often in the evening or in the afternoons after work. I'll play some Overwatch with my lovely lady Lily, because that's kind of one of our ways of spending time together. But also, so with that, I do want to add into my hobby update. I got a really cool play of the game today where I was playing as one of the tanks named Orisa, and we all kind of like were going in on, we were defending, but there was a choke point. We all kind of pushed into the choke point for the onrushing team because they were grouped together nicely. And I hit my ult as Orisa, which, well, first I hit a javelin spin, which charges her forward, and kind of she does a spin of her energy javelin, which kind of shields, incoming damage, and also kind of pushes opponents back. So I kind of, even though they were already kind of clumped, it kind of pushed them into a even tighter, knot of them. And then I activated her ultimate, which, she spins her energy javelin around and kind of pulls them in towards you, like almost magnetically, just draws them in. And then, you slam down and unleashes all that energy. And man, that dealt a bunch of damage to all of them. And then the team and I were able to follow up on that moment of pulling them in and dealing damage to, we got the pentakill. We swept the whole enemy team, and it was really cool. And I got to play the game for it, so it felt good. It felt good. They started a fun VR game that's a tribute to retro gaming called Pixel Ripped 1995. That is really cool. 1995. What era is that? Is that the 8-bit era? Where are we at with the 1995 Pixel? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Congrats on play of the game. I appreciate that, brother. Super Nintendo. Okay. So we're on the 16-bit era. That's really cool. I don't know why. For some reason, I have those stuck in my head. Nintendo was 8-bit. SNES was 16-bit. Sega Genesis was 32-bit. Why are those things stuck in my head? I don't know. I can't remember things I need to know. But little details like that aren't going to help me ever. That's what's stuck in my head. You may have remembered that recently on the show, this was last Friday during the birthday stream, Brother Rob did a little tutorial on simplified airbrushing faces. And I took my little mini holder. This mini holder is actually, it was a round hairbrush that one of my girls have very thick, full hair, and unfortunately, a side effect of having thick hair is that it knots pretty easily. And one day years ago that they were brushing it, the the handle popped off of the round brush, and so I was like, this was like a perfect looking mini holder, and so I kind of stole that years ago, and so I used one of the mini holders Brother Rob sent to me as the first face, which I finished, and I'll show you guys that in a minute. And then once I liked how that one came out, so I mounted up the other four. And I haven't finished painting these. I just did the skin tones. But yeah, I got four faces airbrushed up and ready to go on some Wolfguard Terminators soon. So that's pretty cool. We had a tutorial done here on the channel during our last live stream, and I managed to put it into practice, and I think the faces have come out looking pretty good. So instant use of tutorial information. Feel pretty good about that. And like I said, I completed the face, and I've mostly completed one Terminator. So with my purple magenta power weapons, I always put down the purple first, and the parts I really want to be bright, I put down some white on, and then I'm gonna blend the two with some very thin translucent fluorescent pink or fluorescent magenta color, and yeah, that'll make that power weapon, that pop of a power weapon that I really like. And it's not going to show super well here, but yeah, I have finished up actually it's showing pretty decently. Yeah, I finished up the face on that Terminator. Last time you guys saw him, he actually had one of the Terminator helmets. The only thing is, between the weapon and the huge beard that I've put on him, there's like a ton of detail on this pack leader on the chest that you're never going to see between the huge beard and the great axe covering his chest. And I guess I could say that I'll know that I painted it, but there's like so much detail there that no one's ever going to know that I painted it, because the beard and the weapon all obstruct the chest. I know I painted it. But aside from that, there's like, at the end of his axe, he has a wolf tail that still needs to be painted. On the scabbard, there's a gem that still needs to be painted. And of course, he still needs to be based. But the pack leader is like 98% done right now, which I'm feeling really good about. And then, of course, he's the only one I've really done any work on. The others all have, their armor blues done. And I showed you where I airbrushed the faces for them. And then I put the purple down for the power weapons, and I did the white where I want the magenta to be the brightest. So, yeah. You can see there's some progress being made on the wolf. So, I painted in 1 week. I did the pack leader. I am hoping to crank out. I would love to say I'm going to have all 5 of them done by next Friday. But, I'm going to shoot for 3. And if I can get that 4th one, if I can finish the pack by next Friday, that'll be a bonus. Nice. Nailed it. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. Yeah, I'm really pleased where that came out. Oh, you guys, last week I mentioned, or for the last couple of shows, I've said, man, I really need to take, Gamers with Coffee, because I love drinking their coffee. I love talking about it on their channel. I'm like, I talk about it so much. I really need to add that onto the Nightbot's timer. And I'm realizing now that Nightbot brought it up, but I guess my message was too long. So yeah, it cuts it off before it even gives the website. Cup of specialty. Man, I did a nice little advertising description there. That is something I'm gonna have to fix. Well, good intentions, right, guys? Good intentions. Let's see. Nightbot. All right. Since it is just us, oh, speaking of timers, we can edit this real quick. I would prefer to do Gamers with Coffee justice. Okay, so the message cuts off at specialty coffee, right? Which means that message is by double too long. What's a little scuff? Exactly, exactly. Good intentions. I wanted to do a nice little, advertising kind of message, but we're gonna cut out. So I'm gonna read you guys the whole thing because I wanted you to see the nice things I said about Gamers with Coffee, and then I'll go back and shorten it up. Happy freaking Friday, X-Gear Commander. Hope you're doing well, my friend. So the original message was gaming and coffee go together like cool miniatures and a sweet paint job. Whether you're gaming on the tabletop, sitting in front of your PlayStation, or logged in on your gaming PC, especially coffee from Gamers with Coffee can always enhance the experience. Check out all the delicious fresh roasted coffees at gamerswithcoffee.shop. See, it was a nice little it was nice things said, but I definitely need to shorten that message. Although it would be nice if, Nightbot would let me know, hey, you talking too much. After all, how am I supposed to know? Mythos has never, ever been accused of talking too much before in his life. All right, and so that way I can test it. We are going to make this a command too. New command. And you guys can be part of this too. So user level, everyone can do this. All right. Darklight, this is a power I'm giving to everyone. So could you help me out with this? Could you do exclamation mark coffee in the chat and let's see if this has worked. Got it saved, I think. I think everything is good to go. Hey, it worked. Thank you, Darklight. Gaming and coffee go together like cool miniatures and a sweet paint job. Check out all the delicious fresh roasted coffees at gamerswithcoffee.shop. Nice. We fixed it. Nothing makes for nothing nothing makes for good content during a live stream like fixing a live stream on air in front of everybody. Thank you, brother. Also, finished Arcade Paradise VR, which is a simulation game where you start off running a laundromat with a few arcade cabinets in the back and end up running a full-blown arcade. It was quite fun, had an interesting story, and all the arcade cabinets are playable with their own games and their tributes to popular classics. Also had a cool retro 90s vibe. That's awesome. Even big VTubers do it. No worries. Thank you. Thank you. Nightbot is only as good as the person laying down the command. So, I appreciate the grace. Those sound like some really cool VR games, brother. You're going to have to show me them sometime when I'm over. Also, I think we started a playthrough of Resi 4 remake last time. Not last time, but a few times ago that I was over. So we got to do a few more sessions of that too. All right, guys. So, VR day soon. That'll be cool. Maybe we can do like a half and half. Spend some time playing some games, and then watch some JJK and just make a whole deal out of it. All right, I showed you guys a close, in my hand my work on the Terminator, I do have, let's see, tabletop news. I do have a close-up. Looking at it now, though, I'm thinking I might need to tone down those red ribbons in his beard a little bit. I think they pop a little too much looking at it zoomed in close. But let me show you guys what I'm talking about. We'll go articles and art, boop, and then we'll go, oh, it's already programmed in. I didn't have to do anything. Usually I have to adjust it, but this time, well, okay. Usually I have to specify which screen I want to when I click on show screen, but you know, it just did it automatically. But yeah, so that is an up close of the Terminator. See what I'm saying though about the red ribbons in his beard, or red ties in his beard? They pop a little too much, don't they? Maybe I should tone that down with a little dark wash. Or check it. You call in, I call in, and we both just have a good goof off all day. That sounds awesome. So, yep, that is the pack leader so far. I'm really pleased. Like I said, the axe still needs, you know, like it looks dusty from the dry brush of white because I still need to put down the magenta. I think it looks fine, but a little darker might be better. Okay. Uh, and you can tell I still need to paint the wolf tail at the end of the axe. So there's still some things that need to go to finish it up. But yeah, I think the pack leaders come along just fine. And then I'll switch over from that one to the back. I really love the way the pelts have come out. And I've started doing the pelts based on the tutorial that Brother Rob, who usually is on the show with me tonight, on his tutorial for Bjorn the Fell-Handed is when I started, because I was using his tutorial for thinking about how to do the pelts on my own Bjorn, and so I literally looked up his Bjorn the Fell-Handed tutorial, and that has been the inspiration for the way I do my pelts now. I, of course, you know, I think every artist kind of learns something from other people and then kind of take it and makes it their own a little bit. So the only thing I added in is a step where between the darkest brown and the lightest brown, I actually, especially because Pro-Acryl paints are so good for wet blending, I just kind of wet blended a mid-tone from the dark brown onto to create that that little dark, I mean that in between color, and then I use some very bright ivory to make the ends of the pelt stand out. But I mean, it was basically the exact same pelt that I took from his tutorial, and I love the way it came out. So credit where credit is due. This is me following a Rob tutorial. Over at the Miniatures Paintbrush, you can find that down in the link below. Boop. So that is the close-up of my mini this week. Like I said, I didn't accomplish a ton this week. I only painted the one miniature, but I did do quite a bit, and I did make a start on the others. You know, like they all have their armor blues down. They all have their power weapons, you know, like everything but the you know, the final layer of magenta. You can even see that I've gone through and I've put in, you know, the reds for the handle, and then the gold and the silver in the appropriate places. You know, so I really just got to finish off the power weapon effect with that last bit of magenta. And for a little bit there, I was like, man, maybe I should record me doing those power weapons. But I literally already have this exact same recipe, the recipe for doing my magenta power weapons already on the channel. So it's just me being forgetful. But there's that one I just showed you with this big old heavy mace. Terminator with the power axe. Power axe. Power bow. Power daggers. Power lance. Power sword. So, yeah, they already have a start to them. And the only thing... Oh, that reminds me. I'm sitting there thinking I'm almost done with this pack leader. I have left off one shoulder pad. It's obstructed by the cloak, so you can't really see it. But I've left off one shoulder pad because, since I was airbrushing everything blue, the easiest thing to do for me is to prime the white. Since I'm doing the red moths, they have an off-white as basically their shoulder pads. And so basically I start off priming it gray, airbrush it white, and boom, that's done. And I can just slap it on there and not have to worry about, the other colors hitting the white paint or the white paint hitting the other colors. So I almost forgot I left off that shoulder pad. Need to put it on separately. Gamesburger, my friend, I hope you're doing well. And Friendly Neighborhood Inquisitor, I hope you are also doing well. Good to see you, gents. Gamesburger, I did see right before I started the show your message in the Discord, and I have not read that particular book yet. So let me bring it up in case anyone else ends up reading it, and maybe they can pitch in and let us know. General, the Kraken Blood. Space Wolf novel Kraken Blood. Let us know if anyone out there has read it. Read it because Ivar Kraken Blood is a Space Wolf hero in the making. But first you must learn that those who seek glory in place of destiny and an end worthy of the sagas never find what they yearn for. Sounds like he's about to have a bad time. Premise. A wolf priest is tasked by Ulrich the Slayer to recover an ancient relic of the chapter, a chance for him to write his own legendary saga. Yeah, if anyone has read it, or if you end up reading it, let me know how it is. That is cool. I can't. So I mentioned I stole my pelt recipe from one of Brother Rob's tutorials. Rob, as you know, is usually on the show with us. He is out sick tonight, so everybody leave Brother Rob some well wishes and hopes he, let's all hope he recovers quickly and well. I will probably get it when I have my Audible credit this month. That'd be awesome. If you don't mind sharing your experience, I'd love to know how it turns out. Rob has been blessed by Nurgle. Unfortunately. He has been saying he's been thinking of getting into Nurgle for a while. And you know what? He has been admiring the Maggotkin of Nurgle on the last few, shows. So, the grandfather may have blessed him. Uh-oh. Coffee alert seems to be popping up pretty often. Gamers with when I fixed the gamers with coffee on Nightbot, I accidentally changed the interval to every 8 minutes. update. I was like, man, I'm seeing that coffee message quite a bit. Let's see. I have to say how hilarious this is. Gabriel Angelos is being left out of Dawn of War 4 because of his power level, only for them to add the freaking line. Indeed, indeed. You know, that is a great segue into one of our topics for the night. I have some Death Guard that I got in that Kill Team starter set. I haven't painted them up yet. It's on the pile of shame. Pile of opportunities, because we're going to paint it someday, right, guys? We're going to paint it someday. There's no shame in future enjoyment, right? All right, we are going to... Oh. One other hobby update is not really like super hobby, but in the same vein as, you know, playing video games can be hobby adjacent. Um, I have been watching Let's Play, several Let's Plays of a game called News Tower. And I'm going to admit, at first, I didn't think it was going to be my kind of game, but because it's almost like a, I don't know, almost like a tycoon kind of game. I think is an oversimplification of it, but it is a, you know, a strategic management kind of game. Anyways, but in this case, where it's like something, I don't know, like as opposed to, you know, if you're playing like Theme Park Tycoon, you're running a theme park, or Zoo Tycoon, or Two Point Hospital, Two Point Museum. This is about a newspaper. It's called Newspaper Tower, and you're running a 1930s newspaper. And I have, I'm really surprised how addicted I've gotten to this game and watching Let's Plays of it. And I don't know, I might play it myself someday. I don't know, but it really seems fun. You start off inheriting a um, you know, your father's old newspaper company, and it's been run down by your uncle who skipped out of town, and you got to build it back up, and it's really interesting, pretty nice. Uh, but on to other video games, because our friendly neighborhood inquisitor has brought up um, Dawn of War. We're going to take a look at some of that news. I didn't know that they had taken Gabriel Angelos out of Dawn of War. That's interesting that you brought that up. The Blood Ravens are not alone in Warhammer 40,000 Dawn of War 4 story trailer, which we're not going to play. We don't want to intrude on anyone else's video, and it is their YouTube video. But we're eagerly awaiting the chance to return to Cronus in Warhammer 40k Dawn of War 4 to whet our appetites. Deep Silver and King Art Games have today shared a brand new story campaign trailer. And then you can definitely check it out on, of course, the Warhammer YouTube channel. The Blood Ravens are back on Cronus with Captain Cyrus and Chief Librarian Jonah Orion, both featuring in an epic story campaign. It is interesting that Gabriel Angelos is there. For those looking forward to a thrilling Warhammer 40k story, there's great news. The campaign is being co-written by Black Library author John French, and who has written a number of fantastic books, including the recently released Dropsite Massacre. He also wrote Cypher, Lord of the Fallen, which is handy because the Blood Ravens aren't the only Space Marine chapter battling on Cronus. The first have also responded to the call of war. There's their chief librarian there. You'll get to command both the Blood Ravens and the Dark Angels in different campaign missions as the story progresses. Leading the Sons of the Line are Company Master Estoran and Chaplain Ezreal. Well versed in large-scale battles, the Dark Angels bring millennia of experience and unique tactics to the biggest brawls in Dawn of War 4. Rumor has it that even the Primarch himself has taken an interest in the fight for Cronus. Rumor, you say. Rumor, you say. But what about... Spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen the actual trailer yet, but there is a figure wielding a very recognizable helmet and the Emperor's shield. So it's rumor that the Lion may take part. Yeah, they said it after the initial announcement. They specifically said it was because of his power level that they left him out. That's so crazy. Well, maybe the Lion won't be playable. Maybe it'll be like Marnius Calgar in Space Marine 2. You know, maybe he'll be there, you know, as a backdrop, you know, as part of the story, but not actually in it. Possibly. Some other cool stuff you see, of course, like I said, there's their chief librarian. When the Dark Angels show up, you get to see their chaplain on bike, which is a really cool model from, you know, the tabletop game that is really cool to see in effect here in the trailer, charging through and smashing into things with his Crozius. Very cool. I love the mini. I have one for my White Scars, and I just think it's so cool to see it here. And then, of course, you have the Deathwing Terminators. No, they specifically said the Lion will be playable. Oh, I had no idea. I just saw him in the you know, his you know, like 3-frame cameo in the trailer. I didn't realize they had actually made any commentary on him yet. But where did you see that, my brother? Just out of curiosity. Because you seem to have some good info. Aside from the Space Marines, the Adeptus Mechanicus also have a vested interest in the fate of Cronus, as they search for lost knowledge and artifacts. There's just a minor issue of two rival orc war bosses vying for power to lead a colossal war across the planet, and Necrons appearing from both an invasion fleet and tombs beneath the surface to claim what is rightfully theirs, which, according to the Chronomancer Thothmek, is everything. Everything is rightfully theirs. So, yeah, you guys got to contest with that Thothmek. It's pretty cool. Anyways, I thought that was pretty interesting. Some really, really great animation of seeing some of you know, some very cool units on the tabletop. Like I said, I'm a big fan of the Chaplain on bike. Deathwing looks super cool. And admittedly, like, right, Dawn of War, you're probably watching the trailer to see some Bloodraven action. And the Dark Angels kind of showed up and stole the show. Okay, IGN and PC Gamer. Okay, I'll have to check out their articles, but that's pretty cool. I mean, it is pretty cool that you get to play as the Lion, but then, of course, like you said, their explanation for taking out Gabriel Angelos doesn't really make sense. Okay, the coffee showed up again, which, you know, I'm glad the coffee is working. Um, but I did not mean to set it for every 8 minutes. I'm just glad that it's working now, though. Oh, wait, I'm showing you guys my Nightbot screen. My bad, guys. My bad. Pull back the curtain, wizard. Okay. So that is our first first news bit tonight. Oh, it makes sense as long as we acknowledge that Angelos is god tier strong. You know, I actually have never finished a Dawn of War game, so I couldn't even say myself. I am not in the know. I started the first. Okay, so I skipped out on 2 and 3 because I was like, I need to finish the first one. But then, like, I'm not good at strategy games, and so I keep starting Dawn of War 1 and I make it a few levels in, and then eventually, you know, once I'm several missions in, I get stuck. And I'm just like, okay, well, I guess I'm not making it very far. So I actually know very little of the Dawn of War series, which I guess is why I never really got into um, the Blood Ravens. They seem cool. I guess I never experienced enough of their games to really get into them. There's also an announcement for Medieval 3 Total War. And I have like all the Total War games. Very cool. That was me getting stuck on Rogue Trader. I need to revisit that one. Yeah, like I said, I would like to enjoy the Dawn of War games, but I'm not very good at games. Like I play a lot of video games, but I'm not very good at games. All right, we are going to switch from the news because this, you know, this happened to just be a good segue. Talking about them taking out Gabriel Angelos. We're going to swap over because it's still early on in the show. And we are going to talk about our couple of our articles of, I mean, not articles of the week, channels of the week. And this one is one that Brother Rob shared last week, and we meant to cover last week, but, you know, I spent most of the stream last week talking birthday nonsense. I apologize. So Rob wanted to share this art of the week last week. And this is an extremely talented, high level, like you can see from just the artwork here, display quality miniature painter, and like a high level display quality miniature painter. Zumakito, I believe, I apologize if I mispronounced that, but Zumakito Miniatures, really, really just incredible talent. We did look at some of his art last week when we looked at those, particularly this one here in the top left, the different Nurgle miniatures that they had some professional artists and content creators paint up, and Games Workshop, you know, put on their page. We looked at a bunch of those, and this was one of the ones that was displayed. And yeah, so Brother Rob recommended their channel, or his channel, for channel of the week. And I mean, you can just see, like, looking at just here, these like this thumbnail here for 5 simple tricks that instantly improve your painting. Just look at the blends on the skin between, like, you know, all 3 of those miniatures. You know, the ladies on the left and the middle, the Nurgle, you know, champion here on the right. Like, all of those skin blends look so good. And then, of course, this will turn you into a blending god. You know, some very rough blending on the left, very smooth blending on the right. And even his rough blending just blows any blending I can do just out of the water. Most important painting advice: stop chasing techniques and use color strings instead. That sounds interesting. I wonder what he means by color strings. But yeah, so much. Look at the close-ups on these faces. Oh my gosh. Why your Warhammer faces look weird and how to fix it. Oh, I definitely need that. Although, I gotta say, trying the recipe that Brother Rob shared with us last week actually, you know, turned out to do some wonders for me. Like, I'm really pleased with the faces I've done so far using Brother Rob's technique. Painting the same Space Marine 10 years later. Instantly level up your mini painting game. Again, look at the non-metallic metal on this gold here. His blends are just off the hook. So, just really, really incredible work. Air chop. That sounds interesting. I wonder if it's the same thing as slap chop, but instead of dry brushing, you use the airbrush. I have to check that one out. Anyways, I could go on and on about just this man's incredible talent, but definitely worth checking out if you are looking to really hone in on some serious skills in miniature painting. For myself, my recommendation, you guys, many of you know that I have been on a huge bunch of D&D excitement over the last several months, and um, one of the channels, like, it's funny, I still have not seen Critical Role, but I know a lot of people enjoy it. I think because there's so many episodes of Critical Role out, that I want to start from the beginning, and just the volume just is intimidating. But I do want to check out Critical Role. But everybody knows Critical Role. One of my favorite channels, as far as just gaming, uh, skits and entertainment content, is Viva La Dirt League. And then they have the entire cast, even the extended cast of Viva La Dirt League. Uh, is they have a Viva La Dirt League D&D channel, and they have several different campaigns that they've done. If you are familiar with like their Epic NPC Man series, where they do they call it Skycraft, which is like Skyrim logic and World of Warcraft logic, and just kind of video, that kind of fantasy video game logic in general. They have that cast in a D&D series, playing as their characters from that series, which is pretty cool. A recap of Azurum, so that's kind of their storyline that they've set out for, of course, the world of Skycraft. They have lore for that they are going back and redoing the lore via campaign in Adventures of Azurum. They have some of the other stories, like the ladies of Viva La Dirt League have their own series in Tales of the Misfits. So they have, and then of course, they have a few others too, like Isolation Games, Into the Darklands, Tech Town Outbreak, so like a zombie style. Lots of fun stuff. Nice day for finishing, ain't it? Yes. I have a coffee mug. We have several of their coffee mugs, but I have the Nice Day for Fishing coffee mug. It's one of the ones that we picked out. We as in Lily and myself. So, big fan of Viva La Dirt League, and I find their D&D content, very fun and satisfying. Been watching them since way back in the Epic NPC Man days. Same, my friend, same. Well, it's good to see another fan of the Viva La Dirt League. So those are our channels of the week this week. And like I said, I think I've featured Viva La Dirt League on the show before. Like, hey, check them out. I find their content hilarious. So now I just wanted to show you guys their D&D stuff. And if you're into D&D and you like the comedy style Viva La Dirt League, it is fun. And one of the things that I think I've seen that's a little bit different than some of the other D&D content creators that I've watched before is not only like you have where the majority is them around the tabletop playing D&D, but like some parts that happen in their series that are in their adventure that is especially funny or especially dramatic, to the story or something like that, they'll actually film a scene for that, like whether it's a little skit or just a dramatic bit, they'll film that and kind of have that going along with them talking over in D&D. It's pretty cool. It definitely adds to it a bit. Speaking of which, this weekend is our next episode of D&D, so I will be playing Matthias, my rogue monk, and I am hyped for that. I'm super hyped for that. Have you guys been into any role-playing games lately, or do you have any upcoming games? Are you guys trying to find yourself a role-playing group, or is that anything you're even interested in? Let me know. I mentioned before, Darklight Dreamer, who was here in the chat earlier, was in the middle of starting up uh, a D&D group with his coworkers. But as tends to happen is the tragedy of most D&D groups, there was a big shakeup in the schedule, and everybody's schedules kind of got rotated around at work, or put in different places. And so now they're having trouble lining up, the their schedules. So the game has been on hold for I think a couple of months while they iron out the schedule. Unfortunately, scheduling is always one of the biggest enemies of D&D. Trying to learn the rules for Silver Bayonet and Stargrave while working on my Frostgrave game. That is cool. That is cool. I have enjoyed the games of Frostgrave I watched so far. I have the book for Frostgrave like right up here on the top two shelves. Here are books, and the very top row is all game books. Most of it's Warhammer, but there are several game books for Frostgrave, Dungeons and Dragons, and stuff like that up here. So yeah, I was watching a channel called Kiblams back in the day. I really enjoyed his content for Frostgrave. It really made the game look fun, and I was like, man, I'm looking to get into that sometime soon. And then of course I picked up the materials for it, and then the people I was going to play it with. Just, same thing as to what we were talking about with Darklight Dreamers D&D group, like schedules and things just kind of fell apart. I was just like, oh. But I have the book, so I can pick it up at any point. Oi there! Daz, my brother. I was just talking about how I'm super stoked for the upcoming D&D game this weekend. Looking forward to being Matthias again. So, hype for some D&D. We're also talking about some D&D content with my channel of the week recommendation was the Viva La Dirt League D&D channel. They have some pretty fun campaigns on there. In setting up my board for Frostgrave, I realized I need to work on more terrain. Yeah, I've definitely have seen some really great looking like. Sometimes the boards really make for a really cool Frostgrave game. I've definitely seen some very thematic ones. I'm looking forward to navigating you guys through some more trouble. We know how to find it too. I think we have. I think we have an. Oh man, my memory is hazy, but I think we have our final interview coming up, or maybe our secondary interview. Anyways, our adventure group, we're trying to get sponsored, and we're on to. There were 3 houses that were possibly interested in sponsoring an adventure group, and so we've interviewed with 2 of them so far. We're on to the last interview, and one of them is has been with kind of a secretive family. It's kind of an accept the work before you really get information, and they seem to they seem to be kind of shadow broker-esque, right? They play their cards close to the chest. They're very secretive about their information, and they very clearly are not giving you all the information that they have when they send you out on missions. And one has been with a house called House Tesper, and we need to do a secondary interview with the House Tesper's detective. That's right. And that one doesn't seem to be as like the first one seemed like we were going to be paid well. The second one has some benefits, but is also like working with some of the investigators for the city. And my character Matthias, he's a monk now, but as a former rogue, he has some skeletons in his closet, and there's a little bit of nervousness there about getting too close to the investigators. And And then, of course, there's the third one. And I don't remember a lot about the third house, but we have our third interview coming up. And we have to work with the detective, so, we went from super secretive with the first house, like I said, very shadow broker esque, to extremely straightforward working with the law in the second one, or very law adjacent. So it's been really interesting. So Matthias was like, while he has played a lot of stuff super close to, pretty close to the chest, like, hey, there's some things that I've done. He kind of glossed over, with the party when it came to being directly questioned by the head of House Tesper and, former investigator for the city. It was just like, okay, I don't think there's any BSing this guy. Yes, things were done. Yes, this is, very straightforward with answers like, yes, this happened. Yes, yes, we did this. Third interview with the Filans, known for breeding beasts and dealing within Waterdeep's arena scene. Ah, the arena scene. It was a super fun interview with House Tesper. It definitely made Matthias squirm a bit. So I'm excited to see how this goes. Maybe, chat, I'll update you next week. We'll see if we have a sponsor by the end of next week. Uh, if if our adventuring group has a sponsor. But the channel does have a sponsor. And our sponsor is Paint Minis Live, who recently updated their servers to bring you a better experience on the Paint Minis Live website. They have all kinds of different role-playing stuff you might need, including D&D modules, Pathfinder, some figurines for D&D, some terrain, maps, things like that. But they also carry my favorite hobby products, Monument Hobby stuff, including Pro-Acryl paints, which is my favorite brand of paints. You can check them out when Nightbot links them. And if you use the link, of course, you get to support your Wolfbrother at no additional cost, and you get to check out some sweet hobby products from, like I said, Pro-Acryl, my favorite paint company. I think everyone was squirming except Taliasa. Okay, so Taliasa, played by my lovely Lily, is a priestess for Selûne, and we've convinced her to spend her free time when she's not doing priestly duties working with our adventuring group as our healer. Shout out to the brand. Exactly, exactly. Um, but we're looking to get employed with the investigation house for the city because we were like, you know what? I think it's best if we were all thinking that it might be best if we try and keep our adventuring group on the straight and narrow. We have done some kind of shady things in the past, but we want to be one of the well-respected adventuring groups in the city of Waterdeep. Sorry, brother, I got slammed at work. Hope I didn't miss out on too much. We're just here talking nonsense, talking a little D&D. Um, so we have done shady things in the past, but we want to rebrand ourselves in a more, you know, um, reputable fashion, right? And so that's why we wanted to uh, get the endorsement of this house that aids in the investigations for the city. And anyways, before Lily joined the game, before this priestess of Selûne joined our party, is when we did the somewhat shady thing. So this is like talking to House Tesper, the people who aid in the investigations for the city. This is like the third time we've been in situations where we've been questioned on something like kind of shady, and she's like, "Yeah, I have no knowledge of what you're talking about." The rest of us were like, "By the way," uh, one of which was like, you know, "Oh yeah," we had the things we had to confess to was, "Oh yeah, we did steal some illegal winged serpents from." One of the guilds. Yeah, that happened. It was very amusing role play for me to listen in on. That's like the third time we've had to be like, by the way, it's like we never tell her in advance, not because we're like trying to, pull it over on her. It's just like until we're in certain situations, the adventuring group doesn't think about the things that they've done as shady up to this point, right? They were like, oh, these were things we needed to do. Until we get questioned on it, then we got to pull her aside and say, you got to understand this thing that happened. Well, we're really surprised she's still with us at this point. Although she has had to sit us down several times and been like, okay, shuts the door, sits down. We're going to need the whole story now. Exactly, Darklight. Well, when you lay it out like that, yeah, it sounds bad. That is exactly the mindset that our group has had. The investigator sat us down and was like, did you or did you not aid one of the, um, you know, the Thieves Guild in smuggling creatures in the sewers? Whoa, whoa, whoa. I mean, anything sounds bad when you say it that way. We didn't work with the Thieves Guild. We just got paid by the Thieves Guild. That's totally different. Hello, Gamers with Coffee Ashley. Good to see you. You're not late at all. We've just talked a little nonsense. And you showing up when you did means that uh, there was never any. Oh, perfect timing, Nightbot. You can see where I've added Nightbot, a Nightbot command and timer to show everybody the website for your amazing coffee. Had all the kids over for a chill, very nice. Well, you guys have only two native uh, water Davians, one partial native monk, a savage bugbear who is learning civilized life, and a man who has spent most of his time plane hopping with the fairy. So, yeah, some things get lost in translation. Exactly. None of us think of it in the moment as bad stuff. And Matthias is like, I'm just trying not to get arrested for previous stuff. How was I supposed to know that this was bad? So, Ashley and Greg, while you're here, not only do I have a timer for Nightbot to advertise Gamers with Coffee every 20 minutes, but at any time, somebody could go to the chat and say exclamation mark coffee, and the advertisement pops up on its own, just like that. There you go. Thank you, Darklight. So yeah. So hopefully, you know, I think, and this could just be me because I ask for it in my stocking every year at Christmas, but I think a bag of delicious specialty coffee is a great thing to stuff in somebody's holiday stocking. Wow, you'll have to teach us how you did that. Okay, it's very, very easy. I'll be happy to share it with you guys. Damn, I was hoping Command would spawn a cup of coffee. That would be neat. That would be neat. So, super, super stoked for D&D, guys. I am. I gotta say, it's like as far as Your coffee is on the way. Thank you so much. I have been blessed by Gamers with Coffee, and I have a some of that Dubai chocolate coffee coming in, and I can't wait to try it. Every ladies and gents. Um, I have to say, as far as I've played in a lot of D&D campaigns, specifically D&D, um, and I think uh, Matthias and my warlock are both characters that are in, I think, probably some of my favorite D&D characters ever, which is funny because I started off always playing like very, very, I guess, like, big weapon kind of characters, fighter class, barbarian class, um, things that are, which I guess probably, lots of people do their first times around. But my warlock and my monk have been some of my favorite characters ever. But also, I think part of it is like, as you learn more about role playing a character and building out your backstory and stuff like that. I think part of that is also something that bonds you to a character. You get emotionally connected to your characters. In fact, I think in some ways, drafting up a character, like, I don't know, making up your these days, I think making the character and the backstory to go with it is some of my favorite parts of role playing. Like, really get immersed with it. All right, we are going to move on to our next 40K article. So we talked about the Blood Ravens and we talked a bit about Dawn of War. And we're going to look at Grotsmas. Now, today is, of course, the 5th of December, which means we're on our 5th day of Grotsmas. And really, this is the first one where, like, in Grotsmas Pass, there's like lots of rules reveals and different things, units coming out and announcements and stuff like that to really get excited for. The most of the Grotsmas stuff so far have been very light so far. The first day of Grotsmas was like a little story of a planet being besieged by the enemy on the 500 worlds. I want to say specifically by the Nids. And the story is from the point of view of, people on the planet dealing with this war and getting word that Titus and the Ultramarines are coming to save them. And they're like, I don't know who Titus is, but thankfully the Ultramarines are coming. So basically, just I guess kind of a, I don't know, like they're a prequel for the 500 Worlds campaign that's coming, which is, like I said, um, getting that little story bit in there and prepping people for the upcoming campaign is kind of cool. But it's pretty light duty. And then I think the second day they had like a painting guide for loyalist legions in 30K, which is mostly like the paint recipes and stuff like that, which we can look at if you guys are interested. But it is, like I said, it's kind of neat. Hey, leave the Nids out of this. Well, they are some of the big bad guys for the upcoming campaign, the 500 Worlds. They are, Gilliman's kingdom, the 500 Worlds of Ultramar, is being beset by the Tyranids, and Titus and the Ultramarines have to kind of stop this assault on their kingdom. I love when a DM helps to facilitate that character growth and build on a backstory, etc. It makes you even more attached to said character. And I think you do a really good job uh, with that as a DM. I I gotta say, you Darklight are also really good um, doing that as a DM, and I think I think that is one of the things with you DMing for me growing up that's really got me into like really enjoying role plays. You doing that for me in our youth as a really good GM, and I think that's always become kind of a core thing that I've enjoyed about role play, as I've gotten more into it. Agreed, my first roleplay experience, Mythos gave me the responsibility of possibly being the successor to the Prosimus bloodline, and Valdecine's last hope. Definitely threw me for a loop, but made me super invested. Exactly. That's I think that's kind of emotional attachment to a character is one of the things that makes it so fun. You definitely got to love when a GM like tugs on your heartstrings too. Like, oh, I know what I need to do, but oh my gosh, if this doesn't go well, there's so many consequences. Now, I have been blessed with several really good GMs that have all done that very well. Definitely has made roleplay super fun for me. Uh, so, uh, so there was the story about Titus. There was the painting guide. There was something for um, the Dark Iron Dwarves for Age of Sigmar. The Hashut, I want to say they're called. When you reveal that my father, when you revealed my father after I was for sure convinced it was my mentor, that hit me pretty hard. That's awesome. You gotta love that kind of impactful, those when you build up an impactful moment and it does make an impact. I don't know if any of you have ever experienced the opposite of that. You build up a big scene or reveal in your story before, and it doesn't have an impact and it falls flat, and you're like, oh man, I've been really building up to this. Oh crap. That'll definitely cause you to miss a step in your storytelling. It's like, oh, it also kind of reminds me when you see that kind of bit in like a cartoon where they make an announcement like the Dark Lord and nobody cares, and you're like, you try it again. The Dark Lord. Okay. All right, so the previous Grotsmas things, they're all very kind of light, but they're building up, right, guys? They're building up. It's not just, new rules and stuff out the get go. They're building up. And I think all of Grotsmas, I want to say all of Grotsmas last year was all 40K. And this time they're including the other stuff, like I said, some Age of Sigmar stuff. Um, and I think tomorrow's is going to be Age of Sigmar, but today we got our first real sneak peek at new rules and attachments for the Imperial Guard, and it's really good. It may in fact be the new go-to detachment for the Imperial Guard, and I'm on a wolves kick now. But whenever I finally return to my Imperial Guard, they're my second favorite army at the moment. Um, I think, yeah, I'm gonna have to try some of this out if it's still there. I mean, there's only less than a year left in 11th edition, so it may not even be there when I get to Imperial Guard. I'm really into my wolves right now, but this does look interesting for the future. We will see. But let me show you guys what I'm talking about. The new detachment articles and art. Boom. If you guys always wonder why I say articles and art, it's because that's just a button I have labeled for switching over to share screen. Articles and art. Grotsmas Calendar Day 5 Veteran Detachments for the Astra Militarum. Next week, the quarterly balance. Oh, that is something they kind of snuck in there. Next week, there will be the quarterly balance update for 40K. So, hopefully, the Wolves project I've been working on doesn't get hit too badly points wise because, man, I've been painting up specifically this army, and I would like to get some more use out of it before the points get nerfed and I got to drastically change. Although, like I said, I did have one good game with it so far, but we'll see. So, next week is the balance update, and will be landing on our doorstep, and we had 6 new detachments to share along with it. But wouldn't you know it, the Red Gobbo pinched all of them out from under our noses, and since he's such a big fan of sharing, he's handing them all out over the next week. First up is the Astra Militarum. Let's see what the Warhammer Studio Notes had to say about the new Grizzled Company. That's right, the new detachment is Grizzled Company Veterans. Hailing from fortress worlds or planets ravaged by incessant war, the soldiers of this company have fought on the front lines for long and bloody months. Where other formations have collapsed under the strain of constant warfare, these iron-willed combat veterans retain their ferocious discipline. They carry out the decisive orders of their ruthless and exacting officers with a determination born of pride and zeal. This detachment focuses on the forces of the Imperial Guard that have been deployed in the thick of the fighting for extended periods of times, becoming hardened veterans who have survived through valor and discipline. Their experienced officers can issue additional orders, and Astra Militarum units under the effect gain the ability to re-roll ones to hit, or re-roll ones to hit and wound if the target is on objectives. So, very, very strong rules there. Every officer, whether it's an officer that can give orders to vehicles or people, get an additional order. And every person who gets the order is automatically getting a damage buff for re-rolling ones to hit or possibly hit and wound if their targets are on objectives. And I gotta say, as often as we like to go for the kill, the game is about standing on objectives. So, yeah, as soon as your opponent stands on that objective and you line up your sights, they're going to learn today. You're going to be putting some heavy firepower into them. All 4 enhancements are appropriately themed around orders, 2 providing brand new orders to add to your list of options, and 1 extending order ranges, and 1 letting an officer order Ogrins and Bulgrins around, which no one else can do. I think, it's funny, when I was reviewing these rules earlier, I was like, I think our brother Atlas is really going to enjoy this detachment, but then when I saw that they can order Ogrins and Bulgrins, and I told you his latest list with the Janissaries, his main frontline fighting across the army is his Bulgrin. And so, yeah, being able to give them orders would be really cool. The stratagems are a mix of utility and damage buffs, providing a good suite of options for the Imperial Guard player to handle whatever the opponent throws at them. Offensively, you have a stratagem to ignore cover, a stratagem to gain lethal hits. That one is huge to me because one of the most popular detachments is all about getting lethal hits across your army. But specifically from infantry to infantry, from vehicle to vehicle, this just lets you get lethal hits without restrictions. Granted, it's 1 unit at a time with the stratagem, but you have a stratagem that does something an entire detachment can do and is their selling point. That is really cool, I think. Or a stratagem to improve the strength of your ranged attacks. Defensively, you can reduce the AP of your incoming enemy shooting, and for utility, you have the ability to secure an objective or issue an additional order in a different phase. Super, super cool. Oh, you're going to make me download this manually. We're going to go here. No, not featured. Okay, there we go. Faction packs, Astra Militarum. There we go. I thought this was going to take a lot more looking. Not Bridgehead. Grizzled Company. Okay, wait. Wait, is this it? Okay. All right. Let me see how this looks on the other screen. Okay, it seems fine. All right, so first enhancement we're going to look at is Abhuman Detail. Commissar models only. Add the Ogren keyword to the list of units this model can additional orders to. Simple, but pretty effective, very cool. In the declare battle formations, the bearer can be attached to an Ogre squad or Bulgren squad. It's simple. It's beautiful. The Aquilin Eye. Astra Militarum officer only. Each time you select an order for the bearer to issue, you can select the order below. Target weak spot. Each time a model in this unit makes a ranged attack that targets an enemy within 12, improve the AP by 1. That is so cool because, I mean, even things like, can you imagine, you know, your mass first rank, second rank glass gunfire? All of a sudden it has AP, and that's like 40 shots, maybe more. You know, and then on top of that, being able to get more AP on things like your grenade launchers, your plasma. You know, I think that's all really cool. Spec Ops Veteran. Infantry officer model only. Aquilin Eye doesn't say infantry officer. So that could go on a tank commander. That is pretty cool. Can you imagine a Rogel Dorn commander giving that to some of your other vehicles, like your even giving it to like a Punisher Lehman Russ? Now all of a sudden you got like 20 shots with AP1. I think that would be so cool. Anyways. But Specs Op Veteran, so it's infantry officer. Each time a range attack targets this unit, those attacks, until those attacks are resolved, this unit has the stealth ability. Very nice. So they're going to be -1 to hit. And then Loud Hailer, Astra Militarum officer. Each time you select a unit to fire, officer. Each time you select a unit for this officer to issue an order to, that unit can be within 12 inches instead of within 6. Orders within 12 is pretty nice. Now, I think most of the time it's probably going to be better to just take the depending on the officer, but I think in many cases it's just going to be better to take a box unit. But it's still pretty cool. And then, of course, your stratagems. This is one of my favorites. Snap to it. It's one of my absolute favorites here. Start of any phase. One Astra Militarum officer can issue an order as if it were the command phase. So in your own turn, you could go full damage. You go, you know, take aim. But then defensively on your opponent's turn, you can switch it to, you know, spend 1 CP for snap to it, switch to take cover, and now you're going defensive mode too. So I think that's pretty cool. Or you could move as your order for the turn. And then when you get to your shooting phase, at the start of that phase, switch it to take aim or first rank, second rank. So I think just the combos you can do with snap to it are going to be great. Purging Fire, 1 CP. When an Astra Militarum unit from your army affected by an order that has not been selected to shoot this phase, If your unit's within range of an objective marker until the end of that phase, ranged weapons have the lethal hits ability. It's the one we talked about earlier. Being able to give one unit lethal hits as if you're in a completely different detachment is awesome. No retreat, 1 CP. So this is when you're going to auto pass your morale. If your target is within range of an objective, then you spend 1 for duty and honor. You know, you're going to auto pass morale. You can spend another, and for that additional CP, you also get sticky objectives. That's pretty cool. Mordian Minute, 1 CP. All these are 1 CP, by the way. It's a very attractive detachment. In your shooting phase, 1 Astra Militarum infantry unit is affected by first rank, second rank fire. Till the end of the phase, each time a model in your army makes an attack with first rank, second rank, improve the strength characteristic of that attack by 1. So, having all of a sudden your plasmas go up to strength 9, having your las guns go from strength 3 to strength 4, all of a sudden they're on par with strength, Space Marine toughness. I think that is really good. Veteran sharpshooters. Astra Militarum that has been selected has not yet been selected to shoot this phase till the end of the phase. Ranged weapons have the ignores cover ability. So anybody getting that extra cover save, just take it away. And then additional armor. It's basically 1 CP for what is essentially like the Space Marines Armor of Contempt. It's going to worsen AP by 1. Unfortunately, because of the balanced data slate, that means you can only do it against one unit's attack, but still, that's going to be some extra survivability, especially if you use it on something like your tanks, which in most cases have a 2-up save already. Taking away 1 of their AP is just going to make you so much more survivable. And then, that's just the rattlings from a previous one. So, yeah, that is, I think, overall, just going to be a really, really solid Astra Militarum detachment. So, if any of you are interested in playing Imperial Guard, or if any of you do play Imperial Guard, I'm so interested to know what you guys think about this. So, let me know down in the comments below. And that brings us right to 10 o'clock. What's howling? My brother, Hellworks himself. Good to see you, brother. Hope you're doing well. Hellworks, my man. I don't know if you'll be able to see it on your screen while you're at work, but I was sharing earlier my progress on my Space Wolf Terminators. Check that. I still need to finish the power weapon effect, and I still have a few details, gems, wolf tails, and stuff like that. So I have a few things to finish. And I think I need to toe down those beard ties. I think that bright red might be a little too much. Maybe darken that down a little bit. I don't know. It's starting to grow on me a little bit. But yeah, so I used Brother Rob's technique for the face, which I'm enjoying. And I still did have a couple of the basing and a few details to finish up, but I am really pleased with the way this is coming out. And of course the pelt I also stole from one of Brother Rob's tutorials. Still in the mines, in the mines, in the mines, in the mines. Although, looking at this picture, I'm not as close to being done as I think, because I forgot I still need to go in and panel line all the recesses. Bruh, that power armor enshrouds that man like a cave. Looks awesome. Thank you, brother. Yeah, I have definitely been working on working on ways to improve the fur, because yeah, I really want to make a proper go of this second iteration of my Space Wolves army. So thank you so much. That's how you know he's the pack leader. He's got the biggest pelt. So the plan is, now that I have the pack leader, I say done. Like I said, there's still a few things that need to be done, but by tomorrow he'll be finished. I plan on trying to have the other 4 done by next Friday. We'll see how that goes. But now that I've finished the first one and I kind of know how I want it to go, because usually the first person in a squad is always like feeling it out. What do you want to paint? What color? What goes where? And not to mention, the pack leader always has the most detail. It's a shame, too, because I was telling everyone earlier, you'd never know, because I put this huge beard across his chest, and then he's got the big weapon across his chest. You would never know that he has like 50 details on his chest, you know, between just the detail on the chest armor, the necklace, all the fangs on the necklace, the runes, the big old belt, the pro wrestler style belt he's got there, the hilt of that dagger, and so many details that between that huge beard and the axe, you'll never ever see. But I know I painted. Not that you need it, but could I share how I do pelts? Absolutely. Absolutely, brother. I'm always looking to acquire more knowledge, so absolutely. I would love your input. After all, it never hurts to have a couple more recipes and techniques on the back burner, right? Keep it locked away for future use. The trinkets are just for him. The beard is for his enemies. Exactly, exactly. Well, fam, that brings us a little bit past 10 o'clock, where we're going to go ahead and call it for tonight. But this was a ton of fun. Thank you all for chatting with me. If you guys liked tonight's episode, please make sure that you grab up an axe and smash that like button in the name of the Emperor. Drop me some comments down below, and feel free to be part of any of tonight's ridiculous conversations, including letting me know what you guys think about the new Astra Militarum detachment. And if you guys are not yet subscribed to myself or any of my friends down in the Friends of Wolfbrother Hobbies, then we would love to have you as part of the pack here on Wolfbrother Hobbies. So subscribe. Until next time, guys, stay frosty.